Hey everyone, you found the hot revenge community. Ready for a new hot story? Then get comfortable because we're starting now. Late one Tuesday night, a text lit up my phone. It was from my mother, Judith. I opened the message right away. The property has been sold. We changed the locks on the repair shop. You are locked out now. I want to see you try to make it on your own. Haha. I reread the short message. The words themselves felt like a punch, but that haha line was what really hurt. This wasn't just a betrayal. This was their celebration. They were running a victory lap. I didn't panic or start crying. The fury building inside me was completely cold. It was calm and provided instant clarity. They believed they had won, that they'd finally managed to exclude me. I only smiled. They had no idea what they had just started. I put my phone down gently. I didn't call my mother to scream at her. I sat still in my silent apartment, letting that cold, measured smile stay on my face. This wasn't happiness I felt. This was a calculation. They thought locking the garage physically solved their problem. They forgot I controlled the business foundation. I opened my laptop. The bright screen illuminated the dark room. I logged into the supplier portal for Detroit's primary auto parts distributor. My name, Emily, was the one registered to the account. Every purchase was guaranteed by my personal credit card on file. I saw the order my father, Walter, had probably submitted earlier that day. 12 new transmissions set for delivery the next morning. I hit the cancel button. Next, I went to the website for equipment leasing. That high-tech diagnostic machine they were so proud of? My name, my credit, my guarantee secured the lease. I canceled that too. The regular order for 24 tires from the Goodyear supplier was next. Canceled. By 3 minutes past midnight, only moments after their declaration of victory, I had completely halted their entire supply chain. The repair shop would be completely non-functional by sunup. They couldn't even buy a single wrench without my involvement. To understand why I possessed this level of control, you need to know about my family. To grasp why I felt zero guilt, you must know about the last decade of my life. My name is Emily. I am 29 years old, and I am a highly skilled mechanic. My family used to own a vehicle repair garage in Detroit. That business was established by my grandfather, but for the last 10 years, it has been my obligation. My father, Walter, acts as the charismatic face of the operation. He enjoys shaking hands and sharing anecdotes, but he can't distinguish between a socket wrench and a torque wrench. My mother, Judith, cares exclusively about public perception and the social standing that owning the garage provided. Then there is my sister, Bridget. She is 24. She was always the golden child. My mother lived her life entirely through her. My sister is charming and attractive, and she has never once stepped foot inside the garage. She used to claim she was allergic to grease. Really? She was allergic to effort. I always assumed I was the responsible person. That was the term they constantly applied to me. Responsible. It sounds complimentary, but in our family it was a heavy burden for life. While my sister received a fully paid business degree and money for her professional wardrobe, I was busy working in the shop. I started sweeping the floors when I was 15. By 19, I could rebuild an engine. By 22, I was not only the lead mechanic but also the bookkeeper, inventory manager, and supplier contact. I was the only thing stopping the company from going into foreclosure. The repair business was deeply troubled. It operated like a bottomless pit for cash. I was the only person putting money in. I contributed more than just my personal time. I funded it with my own capital. The total amount reached $195,000. I recorded the figure exactly because I am meticulous with financial records. This obligation began 5 years ago. My father's business credit line was about to be canceled by the bank. The note was for $15,000. I took out a separate loan myself to pay it off. I used my excellent credit rating for this. I rationalized it as securing the family's future. Later, 3 years ago, we had to replace the hydraulic lifts. Safety inspectors condemned the old ones. My father considered closing the shop. I stopped him. I spent $50,000, which was my entire savings, to purchase 2 new lifts and the necessary modern diagnostic equipment. The facility could not function without them. The most difficult detail, which I hate recalling, was covering $40,000 in payroll over the last 2 years. These were small amounts added constantly, a few thousand here and there. This prevented my father from having to admit his failure to the staff. He avoided the humiliation of bounced checks. People often inquire, why did you keep supporting a losing venture? Why did you fail to simply leave? It seems obvious when you are an outsider. However, once you are immersed in it, you are bound by what I label the survivor's unseen chains. When you grow up where your value equals your utility, you discover a truth. Being responsible is the only method to earn any scrap of positive attention. You cease being a person. You function as a support column. You are terrified of pausing. You fear that if you stop holding things up, the entire structure crashes down. You assume it will be your fault entirely. This is a type of learned helplessness. It lacks physical bars, but it is a prison. You become so accustomed to the dynamic that you can't locate the exit. You maintain the burden, holding on to the hope that your major sacrifice will finally be appreciated. You deeply believe that if your performance is good enough, if you are strong enough or simply useful enough, they will finally notice you. But acknowledgement never comes. This is because they are trapped in their own habit, the normalization of cruelty. They did not view their actions toward me as cruel. They were merely following the roles that all of us had tacitly agreed upon. My father, Walter, was the leader. My mother, Judith, managed appearances. My sister, Bridget, was the one everyone favored, meant for success, destined for a better existence. I was the dependable one. When they utilized my funds, they did not feel they were stealing. They saw it as their entitlement. It was just the responsible daughter doing her required duty. They accepted that my funding was necessary for my sister's progress. While I depleted my savings for repair equipment, my sister posted travel photos from Europe. My mother proudly boasted that the garage had financed the trip. They were not malicious individuals like fictional villains. They were far more common and truly terrifying. They were people who had justified their selfishness for so long that they no longer realized they were being selfish at all. At 7 a.m., my phone began receiving non-stop notifications. First was a frantic voicemail from my father, Walter. He wasn't inquiring. He was shouting, "Emily, what did you do? All our supply orders are canceled. The shop is completely frozen. You've created a huge crisis. You must fix this immediately." A few seconds later, a text arrived from my sister, Bridget. "You are totally overreacting. Mom was just upset. You know how she can be. You need to call the auto parts dealer back and restore the orders. This is highly inconvenient for me." Of course, she was embarrassed. Then came the grand finale. My mother, Judith, made a public announcement on her social media account. It is truly heartbreaking when children forget who provided for them. We gave them everything we had. Now they are trying to ruin their entire family over some minor disagreement. I reviewed every single communication. I listened to the entire voicemail message. Yet in that torrent of fear and accusations, nobody bothered to ask why. Not one person checked to see if I was okay or admitted they had gone too far. They were not sorry about what they did to me. They were only furious that I had finally shut off their money flow. Their total lack of regret was the ultimate ha-ha. It gave me the final authorization I required. It proved they felt nothing for me. This cleared the way for my next step. I did not respond to any of them. I let their rising panic hang in the air. I prepared myself a cup of coffee. I opened my laptop and placed a different call. "Paige. Hi, it's Emily." Paige was my former college roommate. We had survived late-night studying and bad university food together. Now she was a partner at one of the top business law firms in Detroit. "It's been a while. Is everything all right?" she asked. I took a deep breath before responding. "Not exactly. I need legal help. I told her the entire story. The decade of free labor, the sister who got everything, the cruel haha text. And then I provided the financial figures. The $15,000 loan, the $50,000 for equipment, the $40,000 for salaries, the full $195,000 total. There was a long, uncomfortable silence on the phone line. When Paige eventually spoke, her voice had turned cold. They didn't just lock you out. What you're describing qualifies as a classic case of unjust enrichment and promissory estoppel. They truly have no idea what they've done. She paused for a moment. I've never been so pleased to be a lawyer. What exactly do you want, Emily? Tell me your exact goal. I want the money they owe me, I stated clearly. Excellent, she responded. Because we are going to collect it. Paige was ruthless. She wasted no time whatsoever. That same morning, she prepared a formal legal notification. A demand letter. It was not sent via email. A professional legal courier delivered it to my parents' home that same afternoon. It arrived likely as they were eating dinner and wondering why I continued to ignore their calls. The conditions were straightforward. They had 30 days to comply. Option 1. Start a legally binding repayment schedule for the full $195,000 I had invested. Option 2. Grant me an immediate 50% ownership stake in the upcoming land sale. If they failed to respond or decided to disregard the letter, a full lawsuit for unjust enrichment would be filed right away, demanding the total amount plus accrued interest and all legal expenses. This was no longer just a family conflict. This was a serious legal dispute, and I had just shown up to a knife fight carrying a tank. Paige called me again 48 hours later. I anticipated an answer to the demand letter, maybe a furious response from my father. Instead, I heard disturbing news. Are you sitting? She asked. Her voice was sharp and cold. What is it? I replied. I investigated the property sale, she said. I found the corporate filings for the purchasing LLC who signed the contract. The name is Samuel Thorne. Recognize it. I paused. No, wait. Yes, Thorne. My sister's fiancé. Paige's voice was flat. Samuel Thorne is Bridget's future father-in-law. My body went cold. I sat down instantly. This was a deal, not a random sale. They sold the land to my sister's new family. It was a business arrangement, a dowry to secure her social status. My time, money, and life were sold to finance my sister's marriage. The deliberate calculation was horrifying. Paige, I whispered. That is terrible. Get ready, she cautioned. That's not the worst part. What could be worse? The $15,000 business loan, she continued. The one you covered 5 years ago. The one that started everything. I suspected something. I subpoenaed the original bank documents. Got them an hour ago. The silence was crushing. Emily, she finally said. You told me your father asked for help. You took a loan to cover his payments. Yes, he faced default. Paige stated. He couldn't default. Because the loan had a personal guarantor. Who? Your father forged your signature. I couldn't breathe. Your name is on the initial document as the guarantor. He signed it. That's why he came to you. He wasn't asking for help. He was hiding his felony. If that loan defaulted, the bank would have taken your apartment, your savings, everything. This was the final blow. It was fraud, a crime. It wasn't greed or favoritism. I hadn't been helping. I had been destroying evidence of his felony. The haha text suddenly made 6 cents. They locked me out because the land was sold and they thought the key witness, was no longer needed. I stayed silent. The phone was pressed to my ear as the last bit of family loyalty vanished into dust. The fraud lawsuit hit them hard. Paige called Monday. You won't believe this, she smiled. The developer, Samuel Thorne, heard about the lawsuit. He doesn't want his son marrying into a family cited for forgery. I gripped my coffee. What happens now? He's threatening to quit the land purchase. Page said he wouldn't link his name to a criminal investigation. The very deal they committed fraud for was now being incinerated by my lawsuit. The panic started. Their calls came, but they were desperate now. I ignored them all. Tuesday night, my door was pounded on wildly. I checked the peephole. It was my mother, Judith. Her facade was gone. She was disheveled and weeping. I opened the door. "Emily, stop this," she sobbed. "Thorne will back out. He will cancel Bridget's wedding. Her future is ruined. She is your sister." I remembered my sister's text. "This is embarrassing me." And my mother's, haha. "This was never about money, Mom," I said, my voice empty. "You know that. What do you want?" "We'll pay. Just help your sister." That old line. Do something for the family that bled me dry, and laughed. "Okay," I said quietly. Hope flashed in her eyes. "Oh, Emily, thank you." "I already did," I told her. I stepped inside, retrieved a folded paper, and gave it to her. She looked at it. "What is this?" "The settlement?" she asked. "That," I informed her, "is a copy of the criminal complaint for forgery I filed against Dad today. I sent it to the district attorney and to Mr. Thorne." Her face went white. The hope died, replaced by horror. "Goodbye, Mom," I said, shutting the door. The criminal complaint was the end. Faced with irrefutable felony proof, my father's resistance collapsed. Samuel Thorne backed out instantly. Bridget's engagement was called off fast. Marrying a family facing fraud charges was unacceptable. The lawsuit was a slaughter. We never went to trial. Their lawyers saw the forgery evidence and immediately pushed for settlement. The terms were simple. They had zero power. They had to sell the garage land at a public auction immediately to cover their debts. After creditors were paid, the remaining money was split. My father, Walter, received 3 years of probation for fraud. I watched the wire transfer clear on my laptop. $400,000. I opened my old spreadsheet. $195,000. The loans, the equipment, the payroll, the years of my life reduced to one number. It was the price of their fake approval. I highlighted the file and pressed delete. That night I slept free. No dreams of invoices or grease. No pressure of being the responsible one. But justice isn't destruction. It isn't the money you recover. It's what you build with it. There is the storm's justice, which destroys to settle a score. And there is the soil's justice, which plants new growth. I chose the soil. 6 months passed. I used the settlement to buy a rundown garage across Detroit. I cleaned, painted, and bought the best equipment. Today, E-Tech Auto is open. It's bright, clean, and mine alone. We are booked for 3 weeks. This morning, under a classic Mustang, my new apprentice, a young woman fresh from trade school, looked at me nervously. "Emily," she asked, "am I ready?" I saw myself in her. I wiped my hands, picked up a clean torque wrench, and placed it in her palm. "You're ready," I said. "Let me show you. I am free. I am not a daughter or just a mechanic. I am a builder, and this is my legacy." Have you ever chosen yourself over family? Did you have to tear things down to build something new? Tell me your story in the comments.